Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the March 1st, 2022 Post Falls City Council meeting. Shannon, please note that all council members are present. And we do have a couple of announcements. The Post Falls Highway District will be closing the intersection of Prairie Avenue and Idaho Street beginning Monday, March 7th. The closure is anticipated to last through early June for the construction of a roundabout as part of the Local Highway Safety Improvement Program grant. If you have questions regarding this project, please direct them to the Post Falls Highway District. Again, a lot of people see Post Falls and they think it's city. This is not. It's Post Falls Highway District. Trails and portions of the natural area at Black Bay Park may be closed or restricted for the next 2 weeks as urban forestry staff conducts tree felling operations at the park. Tree felling is used to mitigate wildfire risk and minimize the effect and spread of bark beetle insect pests. And we do have a presentation tonight. Dina Nacarado, Superintendent of the Post Falls Schools. Dina, please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm here to kind of talk to you about plans for the future in the Post Falls School District. So before I get into the buildings that we're going to need, I think it's important for you to kind of understand the work that's gone into the planning process. So in 2018, we actually revised our long-range facility plan. We revisit that plan every 5 years. And at that time, the recommendation of the group of people that were together kind of reviewing the document, which included parents, administrators, teachers, at that time, the suggestion was that we focus on building a high school when Post Falls High School reached 1,750 students. We look at building a third middle school in 2022. We build a new elementary school immediately with the understanding that we may need a second elementary school prior to needing another high school or another middle school. So obviously we did build an elementary school immediately. We opened Treaty Rock last year. What we didn't expect was COVID. And so as a result of COVID, when we shut down in 2020, when we reopened in the 2020-21 school year, we lost approximately 300 students. So our enrollment was up around 6,100 prior to COVID. Then we dropped to about 5,800 during COVID. And then this year, of course, we've been back to school. We were back to school last year as well, but we're back to school as normal, pre-COVID normal, this entire school year. And so we weren't sure what to expect. When school opened this year, we have increased our enrollment to pre-pandemic levels. So the high school has 1,729 students in it. Post Falls Middle School has 888 students in it. River City is sitting around 650 students, and our elementary schools are all running approximately 400 students. The elementary schools are built for 550. So what that led us to was at 1,729 students, Post Falls High School is very full. When you think about high schools versus elementary schools, the humans are larger because really they're 15 to 18-year-old young men and women that are moseying about in and out the hallways all day, every day. So it has become relatively obvious to us that it's time to really start focusing on building a second high school. I think that you are aware that we do have land for a second high school out off of McGuire and Prairie. We have a nice 60-plus acre parcel out there, and that is where we plan to build our second high school. The idea is to keep the high school away from major population centers. When Post Falls High School was built back in '99 and 2000, there was nothing out there. Now there's houses all around, and it's causing some problems with this traffic and that kind of things at certain times of the day. So it is our intent, or my intent, to request the board's permission to start the beginning phases of what would it cost for us to build a high school, a second high school in Post Falls. So initially I reached out to an architect to give me an idea of what would a starter, quote unquote, high school cost us. And when I say starter, I mean obviously it's not going to be as large or have the capacity that Post Falls High School has. Post Falls can hold 1,800 students. This new high school would hold 1,000 students. The cost of Post Falls High School in 1999, it was a 1998 bond, but in essence we opened in 2000, was $18 million. The cost of a 1,000 student high school in today's dollars will be $55 million. So that's a big ticket item, obviously, and I think everyone is aware that schools in Idaho are built by taxpayer approval. So it takes a supermajority for us to build this second high school. The good news is that we believe that we can do this with, I won't say a minimal impact, but it's not going to be as bad for the taxpayer as one would believe. Right now, our bond underwriter is estimating it will cost about $32 per 100,000. So if your house is worth $500,000, it will cost $160 a year. So that's the good news. The other good news is we did send out a survey this week. Actually, it was last week. It's due. We gave kind of a window of time for people to respond. The chamber also sent out the survey for us. It was a one-question survey. Would you support a second high school? And in that survey, you could click on a link and it would take you to your tax impact. And right now, that survey is running 90% yes. People would approve it. One of the things that I've been dealing with as the superintendent is people asking me about impact fees. And why doesn't the school district collect impact fees? Idaho code does not allow us to collect impact fees. And I think the other thing that would be important for people to know is that we have enjoyed a very strong working relationship with the city and with developers. And when I say that, what I mean is the city has welcomed us to the table when new big developments are coming into our town. And in most cases, the developers have offered the district 10 acres of land to build an elementary school. And so when you consider the minimal amount of money an impact fee could bring to the district versus 10 acres of land free, that relationship between the city and the developers and the school district actually has really done wonders for lowering the tax bill for our citizens. So within the next 5 years, we expect that we will build a high school, a middle school, and another elementary school, if the voters are willing. And I think that's really the long and short of what I was asked to present. Are there any questions for me?
Thanks for that information, Dina. We hear quite often where you've got to charge impact fees, and I'm glad you mentioned it because it's not legal. I appreciate, I remember when the Post Falls High School was built and how many years it took us to finally get that approved. Quick question though, if you build a starter high school, as you say, for 1,000, is that one that is built with the ability to expand
Yes.
as needed? Okay.
Yes, when it's needed. And the idea is you don't build a church for Easter Sunday, you build it for every Sunday. So I think everybody is aware that we've always had a history of asking for only what we need. And so that is the goal behind building a smaller high school. It will also give us the opportunity, if we need to get creative with the middle school in the meantime, we have some space in those two buildings then, where if we had to move some 8th graders, for example, we might have the opportunity to do that.
The only other thing I would ask is, I know, and you referenced it, but anytime we have a development or annexation, zone change, et cetera, we reach out to many, many different organizations, and the school district is one. And if it is going to have an impact, positive or negative, we would welcome your comments on that, so we know that we are listening to the school district.
Thank you. And we feel that you have listened to us, and like I said, we do appreciate the partnership very much.
I have a quick question about 1,000 student enrollment in that $55 million price range approximately. Would that also include, sports complex?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it would include a sports complex. In that case, it also includes an auxiliary gym, which Post Falls High School has now, and an auditorium.
Excellent.
So it would be a smaller version of Post Falls High School with the ability to add on so that it could hold as many students as Post Falls High School in the future.
Is that kind of the target 1,800 standard?
1,800 is a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, as a former high school principal, I will tell you, when I started at Post Falls High, we were 1,250, then quickly went to 1,400, and then my first year's principal, we were 1,600, and I thought, it's full right now. So ideally, I think 1,500 students in a high school is a good number.
Thank you.
Since it'll be a smaller version of the current high school, can the plans from the current high school be modified as opposed to starting, I don't know what percentage of cost, all of the architecture, all of
Right.
the planning part of it is, but if that school has served us well,
Yes.
could that be replicated?
That's a great question. What I will tell you is we did add an 8 classroom addition of Post Falls High School in 2008. And of course, we've added an auxiliary gym. We've moved the weight room from upstairs to downstairs, and we've added the auditorium. So I'm not sure that we could use those exact same plans, but we could probably use some pieces of them. I'm not sure if the council and the mayor are aware that we have a prototype elementary school that does save us a bit of money.
Oh, nice, I didn't know
That that's why Prairie View, Westridge, Greens Ferry, Treaty Rock, all are kind of tweaks of that same prototype elementary school. So if we can do that, it is a small savings. I don't believe that that is included in the estimate at this point, just because I'm not sure if we would be able to do that. We'd have to use the same architect, and of course, we have to put out a request for proposal for all of that, and the lowest bidder wins.
And in all honesty, it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, things change. I mean,
Yeah.
the technology will change and et cetera, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you taking the time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Are there any amendments to the agenda tonight?
There are none tonight, sir.
Are there any declarations of conflict, ex parte contacts, or site visits? Seeing none, would you please present the consent calendar?
Item A is minutes from the February 15th, 2022 City Council meeting. Item B is payables February 8th through February 21st, 2022. And item C is first addendum to the memorandum of understanding for the Cecil Pole Line and Cecil Mullen intersection improvements. And item D is the fiscal year 2023 budget hearing notification.
Any questions on the consent calendar?
I'd move for approval of the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Shove,
Aye.
Thorson,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is public hearings, and tonight we have none, which means we're probably going to get hit in a future meeting with several. Probably. Just throwing that out there. Unfinished business, returning ordinances and resolutions. We do have one ordinance and one resolution.
I would move to place the ordinance. Well, of course I would. Get on the right page. Ordinance FYI 2022 Budget Amendment Number 1 on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second, and that would be fiscal year FY, not FYI.
Oh, FYI.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Thorson,
Aye.
Borders,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Ziegler,
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Shove,
Aye.
Motion passes.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, Idaho, amending the annual appropriation ordinance 1420 for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2021, to reflect the receipt of unscheduled revenues and to authorize expenditure of previously unbudgeted fund balance, increasing and establishing the appropriations for expenditures in various departments and funds, providing that the tax levy upon taxable property within the city is not affected hereby, providing that all ordinances in conflict herewith are superseded by this ordinance to the extent of such conflict, and providing that the ordinance shall be effective upon its publication date.
I move to approve the ordinance FY 2022 Budget Amendment Number 1 and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion seconds. Further discussion. Roll call, please.
Walker,
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Shove.
You got the easy
Aye.
one.
Thorson.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is resolution, fiscal year 2022 fee resolution.
Move to approve resolution FY 2022 fee resolution update.
Second?
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Borders.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Shove.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business.
that
Tonight we have none. Followed by citizens' issues, and this section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council regarding a city-related issue that is not on the agenda. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward. And your name for the record, please, ma'am, when you get up there.
My name is Joyce Cardwell. I've been a resident of Kootenai County for over 30 years and a resident of Post Falls for almost 2 years. I live in an apartment complex just up the road, that big, huge one at the end of 4th there. And they just hit me with an $80 utility fee on top of the outrageous rent. And so I did a little research. I came up here and talked to the utility manager, and she said that every residence in Post Falls pays the same wastewater and trash fee, $76 and some cents. I have the exact amount, but, which doesn't sound very equitable to me. I live in 650 square feet, and I pay the same wastewater and trash fee as a 4,000 square foot home or more, or a family of 7 or 8 or whatever. There are some different fees listed in the city information. The disadvantage fee or the hardship fee or whatever it was called, which is about half that price. And I know it's really easy when you're doing budgets and all that to say, well, let's just charge everybody the same. Excuse me. But again, I mean, how many flushes and showers can I take, right? It isn't the same as a house, a giant house down by the river, whatever. So they say my apartment complex is hit with a $30,000 utility bill every month. And so, of course, they're passing it on to the tenants. And I'm wondering if there isn't some way to take the 1-bedrooms and the studio apartments there and maybe putting them on a lower fee instead of the same fee as for the rich people that live in the big houses. So $80 is a pretty big hit for me. And that's,
I think we have a comment here.
Yeah, we're working on that, right?
Oh, no, I'll let her finish speaking.
no, I'm finished.
Okay, so at the last council meeting, the council approved for the city to undergo a rate study on our wastewater, and they'll be looking at the tiered rates and the possibility of smaller housing units. And I'm not sure how it's going to affect apartments, because I don't know how your apartment building is being billed currently, whether it's per individual unit or if it's on the bulk usage. But we will be looking at having differing rates based on the size or square footage. And so
Okay.
that is something that we are looking at, and that rate study will make recommendations to council on how to charge our wastewater rates in the future.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. And if we could make that public,
It
I
will
mean,
be.
I don't know how that,
Yeah,
because
it would be made public. yeah.
not that I don't trust my management company, but I'd like to get the benefit
Yeah.
of any reduced rate.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
Sounds
if you
good.
want to give your information to our city clerk, then
I
we
have it.
can, or John Beecham is our public works director, and that study's being done under his department, but we could have someone contact you when the rate study's complete.
Okay, I have my information on that sheet that I filled out.
Okay,
Good.
perfect.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Next up is administrative and staff reports, and tonight we have none. Mayor and council comments. I don't think I have any tonight. Anybody else? We do need an executive session tonight.
We do.
And I think Carrie's got the information.
I've got the information. I move that we move into an executive session for Idaho Code 74-2061D to consider records that are exempt from disclosure as provided in Chapter 1, Title 74 Idaho Code, and to engage in communications with a representative of the public agency's risk manager or insurance provider to discuss the adjustment of a pending claim or prevention of a claim imminently likely to be filed, and that we meet for approximately 10 minutes.
No, it's gonna be more like, I would give it longer than that.
20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
I was gonna go with 12.
approximately 20 minutes.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ziegler.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Walker.
Aye.
Stove.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We'll enter executive session.
Is that 'cause you-
Meeting back to order. Are there any motions to come forward?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Yes,
As